In March, we had IA board members participating in a 3-day conference in Nairobi on inclusive development. Inclusion Africa board came out very strongly on issues of supporting families of persons with intellectual disability, the role of women, especially looking at mothers. In November, Inclusion Africa participated in the Africa Disability Forum in Addis Ababa. Outcome, Inclusion Africa has a seat in the ADF Council, and the constitution was amended to include families of persons with intellectual disabilities. Quite a number of initiatives have taken place. Number one, it's participation in the East Africa Roundtable on access to justice. And the next steps in access to justice is looking at capacity building on use of supports and reasonable accommodation in the judicial system. We'll also be looking at linking self-advocate and families to legal aid services, which is a very big gap in Africa. The project on self-advocacy to be implemented in 7 African countries, information sharing amongst Inclusion Africa members on self-advocacy and how to build the capacities of each other, looking at whatever capacities we have in different organizations. Another initiative is the Legal Capacity Network in Africa. The platform comprises of disability rights advocates and lawyers, and we have an online platform where various organizations and members discuss on various issues on legal capacity. Inclusion Africa also participated in the East Africa Disability Forum and lobbied on the inclusion of families. The meeting was attended by governments from Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Burundi. A project on access to the ballot box, looking at political participation, is another project in place, where it's implemented in Kenya and Zanzibar. So far, families and self-advocates have been trained in Zanzibar. We are looking forward to training families and self-advocates in Nairobi in April. Shikuku and I participated in the World Bank meeting last week, and we influenced the thinking around disability-specific indicators, gender-based violence vis-a-vis HIV and AIDS, data and statistics, and inclusive education, very specifically looking at ICT. How then can we use ICT to promote inclusive education for learners with intellectual disability? Challenges and barriers. Lack of understanding on intellectual disability from African governments is quite a huge challenge. Many African governments confuse intellectual disability and mental health issues, and it takes a lot of time to really convince them on how best to support persons with intellectual disabilities and their families. Ratification of the CRPD is another huge problem. Most of the African countries, again, have not ratified the UN CRPD. We've continuously used the global reports to influence some of our work within the African governments, and this has been a very huge plus for us working in Africa. So in all, we are saying Inclusion Africa is taking shape now. We are quite optimistic, and we are really looking forward to make a big difference the year 2015.